All right, y'all, part 2 of the broad spectrum with the Elon Musk at the border, RFK's third party, Trump, history, Ukraine. All right, so we're talking about the Bloody Sunday, the sniper, that stuff being added to the balance. All right, Monday comes for Trump's trial. He is the Lord coming with his wrath. We're in the middle. And since we're in the middle, it's time for the house of cards to go down. Ukraine has been taken off the money supply. So all these things are being stacked up against. And as the crane is moving, the house of cards is on one and the weights are on the other. So they've been waiting for this time. And as they've been waiting for this time, everything is stacked against, and it's been stacked for decades. All right, this house of cards. And this house of cards is about to go falling down in the next years. Okay? So as this happens, the weight's being put on. Everything's been maxed out with the money. And as been maxed out with the money, this extra 100, 200, 300, who knows what these kids' payments are. Anyways, it's going to be stacked up against them. And it's going to add that weight to the balance. And it's going to start rocking that house of cards. Okay? Now, the turd deal for that crapture. And that turtle for that shell shock, all right? And it has the 5 appendages. Well, actually with the tail, it's got the 6. It's got the 6 little baby one, all right? But either way, the 5 attaches us to the Phi 22.5, which is the 2025, all right? Because that's when that lake of fire sets in, for that hell that has consumed earth, and out of the ashes rises the phoenix. Okay? So, the turtle, the crane, and the swallow, they are attached to a Bible verse, Jeremiah 8:7 or 7:8, one of those things. Either way, this is tied to these things that's going on, and the turtle is attached to Shakira. And Shakira is attached to that offshore shaky with the shell account, all right, or the shell company. So this is at the same time as the crane, and then we maybe can expect maybe some semen issues coming up this week, in a matter of speaking, and that would tie in the swallow, and that would tie in the woman who gives suck in those days and that kinds of stuff. Also, the swallow is that wallow, and that's tied to the Trump and the court and all those types of things and the trials and those stuff. So let's do the verse real quick to tie in some stuff, because you might hear some things that are going on with the budding of the fig tree and those things, all right? So, ye, the stork in heaven knoweth her appointed time, and the turtle, and the crane, and the swallow observe the time of their coming. But my people know not the judgment of the Lord. All right? So the Lord is Adon. Adonia AI is the Lord, and that's who's here, okay? And he's on his second coming, and as he's on his second coming, he's coming to destroy the old America, bring in the new, and as he brings in the new, takes out the old, he's going to call in the old and be their savior and bring them into their final shit stage, okay? So the stork is tied to that baby that's giving birth right now. All right. And there's a baby be delivered. And the stork drops shit from the sky. And we got the Zelen sky. All right. And that Zelen sky is tied to the crane. And since the crane's been loaded off, the sky event that we've been waiting for, we can expect some maybe like that. But either way, y'all. So let's get into RFK, talking about BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street because he says there's a little viral video going around about him talking about these things, and it's talking about some things that's coming in the future, but it's closer than what he's actually saying, because he says by 2030 they're going to own so much. Okay, now the black rock is tied to the Jesus rock, but it's the satanic rock to the church, because the church is the last Judeo nation, which is the last satanic nation, because Jesus calls the Jews the synagogue of Satan, and that is the Baal worship book. It's the outward and inward Jew law book, and there's been a deception on the world. And if you believe like the world, you believe the lie, so you think you're going to a Jesus worshiping church when you're actually going to a satanic worshiping church. This is where it's going to be so hard for people to accept stuff, all right? And they're just going to be left behind, and they're going to be broken to even start to listen. And the beast has to be broken before they can be ridden, okay? So he's talking about how these three companies are actually owned by one company. So it makes it one company that's actually owning everything. All right. This ties into how the world kind of operates. All right. And Trump connects us to the Heinz family. And the Heinz family connects us to the industrial age coming, and the food people put on their table, and it's on every restaurant and all these other things. So it's telling us who Trump is connected to with his family, and they were Germans back in the day, and they kind of hid it and all those things. But this ties into the Nazi Germany and the test in Nazi Germany and bringing of Israel and all those things. And then America is that long-term test of Nazi Germany. They did Hitler way too fast. Hitler was just a fast test, and that's why Hitler's all connect to an Antichrist time zone, because he was he was born during a certain time, and then he came during a certain time, and all those are 88 time cycles, and we're now in another 88 time cycle. We're being taken into the 88 time machine, and then we're going into the time of Pluto, and all these things are going to major changes on Earth, and everything's resetting, and the great reset's upon you. The new world orders before you. The Build Back Better, they have to make America great again. All this stuff is there telling you that they got to destroy shit first, and they're going to bring it back. Okay? But we're going into a time of more of the Jetsons and not the Terminator. The Terminator is for the beast system and to gather them up and all those different things, however it's going to work. Okay? Everybody has a smart meter on their house. Everybody has the AI watching, listening, and determining if you're passing or not. Okay? So the goal in the future is that everything's been a test of everything. And as it's been a test of everything, the AI is gathering up all the information, seeing what works the best and where people are happiest and most abundant and all this stuff, okay? So it's going to bring in all this stuff, but as one's good for one, one's bad for another. All right. So some people are going to lose, some people are going to win, and basically, the mark of the beast is tied to that credit score, in a matter of speaking. So those who have good credit or whatever and have been working their ass for this, that, and the other, it's all going to be stolen from you, because the Lord, Don, he owns all the money. He prints all the money. He owns America. He owns the world, his family, the families that are associated with his family. All right? And they own the world. And they're going to run the world. And they're going to run the world through AI. And man's going to run the world through AI. And all these things are going to run together. All right? And we don't need all the old stuff where we're going. It's going to be a whole new heaven and earth. Things that we can't even imagine right now. All right? So all that money is the Lord's, and he's going to take it away because you haven't used it right. You haven't set up the inheritance and all these other things that's been going on. And, man, it's just so messed up everywhere. So it talks about they own 89% of the S&P 500. That 89 is tied to the 88 time machine that burn. All right? and it says the current trajectory, they want to own 60% by 2030. That 2030 is tied to the 23s on the Earth axis. All right, the 23.5 for the Earth axis. That's now 23 summer up until the 23 and a half year of 9/11, which is 2025 summer. Okay, all perfect alignments. And then they have the build back better in 26, 27, 28 when the Don Nation takes his nation, and the nation's divided through the stolen elections, through the absolute DeSantis, the day solution coming to do the holy place with the magazine, and that's with the guns and all those other stuff. Okay. And that's part of the Elon, Don, and Ron with the 3 musketeers, the musket triggers, and they got that trigger pull. And the gun is the nug backwards. The nug is the money tied to the root of evil, and those people are rising up out of evil to go and kill men, women, and children because they're just doing it for the love of the nation, the love of some land. That just comes and goes. And America hasn't even been a nation for that freaking long. When you look at when the last state was brought in and when states were brought in and shit, it was like hundreds of years ago, 150 years ago, or whatever, all right? I know it was more than 100 years ago, but I forget that I'm in 2023 sometimes, all right? Either way, I guess I'm stuck in the 80s. So, the stealing of 60% of the people's houses or whatever, this ties in perfect when you look at the map where 80% of the people live, all right, and how many people own a home or so-called own a home. They actually rent a home because you think you buy the home, but you're actually making a payment to the bank. And if you don't make the payment to the bank, they come and take it and all this other stuff. So you don't own it till it's paid off. And once you pay it off, you still got your HOAs if you're stupid enough to get into a neighborhood like that. And then, because that's a test of man. And then you have the taxes and all these other things. And then you have home repairs, insurance, all this shit you got to pay for. Okay? So it's just a big, it's a test of man, and y'all are failing, and these houses are going to trap y'all, and this is part of those evil deeds y'all didn't repent of, and y'all just keep buying the houses when the interest rates are going up, housing market's going up, takes months to get your stuff that you ordered to remodel, all this other stuff, okay? There's just a spirit moving men right now to start moving, and it's cooling them into areas, and that as it cools them into area, it's going to drain their money, and just different things are going to happen, and different things going to break, all this different stuff, but it's just going to consume them. So as 80% lives in one part, you're going to have 60% of those houses or so gathered up by the people who own the banks, and the banks are owned by this family and everything else. And we're going to go into a time where we don't own shit, because owning stuff is part of the evil heart and all these other things, because we're just borrowing things, all right? And then either way, y'all, it'll be, I think, nice not to own anything where you just put in a call and say, hey, I need this, that, and the other, and you use it for a little bit and you give it back or whatever. Because a lot of shit you just have and it's just sitting around in your house not being used 98% of the time. So it would be nice to have your house completely open. You don't even need a big house or whatever, because the big warehouse keeps everything for you. You call the drone, tell them what you want to do, and the drone comes and brings you your supplies for the day. And then you work, it takes it back, and you don't have to do nothing. Or the robot comes and all this other things, all right? It's going to be great. But it's going to be completely different. We'll have to end here. We'll do a part 3 about Trump's family.